What's up, man?
Yo, Joe, I'm good, brother. How you feeling, man?
Man, hanging in there, man.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's what's
hanging in
up.
there.
That's what's up, brother. That's what's up, man. Happy for you.
Man, I appreciate it, man. What you got? What you been up to, man?
Man, it took a little while to really recover from my daughter's prom, bro. I didn't think it was gonna like tax me that bad. You know what I mean? Like that really took a lot out of me, bro. And
Yeah.
the energy, the effort, the things that I put into it to like get to that point and get everything off the ground.
Mhm.
Not only that, the reason how we got this topic tonight came from it. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So it was just a lot. It was a
Hold
lot,
on.
man. But I'm good. A good
Get
baby
out.
girl.
Get out. Close the door. Close the door. Of
Well,
all
you
the
finished,
places.
man. It's all good. It's all good, man. Go get
Hold
your
on,
food.
man. Let
It's
me get. Let
okay.
me. Let me get her together, man.
Like, yeah, ain't no problem, man. But yep, we take this time to say thank you, and we welcome you all to the Final Notice podcast. And that's what happened when you stream live, man. Ain't everything can happen, baby.
Man, listen, man. Of all the places and all these rooms in this house, she just always got to come downstairs, man.
Yeah, that's where Daddy at.
Yeah, man. I need a break. We need a break. But yeah, man, welcome everybody, man. Welcome to Finding Notice Podcast. We are streaming live on Facebook at Finding Notice Podcast on Facebook. We are also streaming live on YouTube at Finding Notice Podcast on YouTube. And we are also on Instagram and also TikTok too as well. You can follow us on those pages and platforms as well. So if you
Hold
hear,
up real quick,
sorry.
man. How you been? What's up with you having a new job coming along, man?
Oh
You tried
man,
to,
I
I
can't
knew you
even,
want to get into it.
bro, I can't even, I ain't even gonna lie to you, man. Let me tell you something, man. When God is blessing you and when God said he's going to bless you, man, like the expectation that you even have for that blessing is sometimes it gets overwhelming from the way God blesses you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And when I say it gets overwhelming, I mean it gets overwhelming in a good way, in a positive way, because even though, just put it like this, when I parked my car and I got out the car and I got into the parking lot and like I was
Mm-hmm.
walking through the parking lot and I saw the main entrance to the building,
Right.
I was like, yo, finally I made it, man. Because
Okay.
this the
Okay.
campus is beautiful. It's like a beautiful campus. You go in there, the security is like super duper tight, like super tight. You got a
Mm-hmm.
badge in, badge out for everything. So it's like just even going through that process and just being grateful, like, man, I'm finally here. God is awesome. I really love it. I love the fact that, I've been given this opportunity. I've been praying about it. So, I've been really grateful, man. It's really grateful. The drive is long, but I ain't gonna lie to you, man. When I first drove up there, I was like, dang, this joint is it's far. It's like an hour and some change. But when I got in the car and I looked at the GPS and it says it's gonna be like an hour and 20 minutes or whatever, I said, God, you know what? I'm gonna thank you every minute and every second to every hour that I'm driving to this
That's right.
place. So
That's
the
right.
whole time I'm sitting in traffic and people cutting me off, I was just like, God, thank you so much, because I could be sitting at home, I couldn't have a job, or I could be miserable in my other job. So, I just been taking it in, and I'm just happy, man. I've been really happy about it, and I just thank God for that testimony that He's given me. And if anybody that didn't see the last episode, go back and watch the last episode. We talked about it. And the title for that episode was "You Have to Ask for It."
Mm-hmm.
Go back and watch it, man. I talked to Caleb, and I told Caleb the other day to go ahead and watch it. Matter of fact, when I was talking to him, I was like, I'm gonna check in on him. I talked to him right after we got off the phone, and he's doing
Good.
good. He's still
Good.
hanging in there. So just keeping him in prayers, and just I told him to go watch the
Yeah.
podcast, that episode. I told him that really give him some encouragement. So I hope he got the chance to peep
That's
that.
what's up, man. Yeah, praying for
Yep.
you, Caleb. Yep.
Yeah, but other than that, man, nothing, man, nothing new, man. My daughter finished school today, so she's finally done.
Oh, okay.
She
Big girl.
graduate. She graduate next year. Next week. I said next year. Next week.
Okay.
She took her last and final today, so she's officially done. She don't go back to school until Wednesday, I think, to do like walkthroughs and all of that.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
then right after that, man,
She done.
right after Memorial Day weekend, that Monday, she walking across the stage and, you know what I'm saying, getting the hell on about it. It's like, nah.
Did y'all go and start doing like the school hunting and everything?
Oh, she already got to school and everything. She got accepted. We know where she was going.
Okay.
We just starting the shopping for her, her dorm and stuff like that. But
okay,
she's done. She's ready to go, man. Ready to drop her off and clean out of her room and turn that into a shoe closet or something. I don't know.
That's what you're doing? Okay.
Nah.
Back home.
Nah, we're gonna turn that into this is gonna be another guest room. So it's until she comes back home. But just excited for her, man. I told her, I said, go out there, make your mistakes, man. Grow from it.
There you go. And what grade baby boy in?
He's in the 6th, so he's going to the 7th. So his football season about to start.
Okay, so you got a little stretch. Baby girl just came in.
She just got in the picture, man.
Yeah.
She gonna be around for a while. Lord have mercy.
One of my fears, bro. I'm like, yo, my baby's 17, man. Like, she be
when your daughter turned 18?
October this year.
Okay.
Yeah, October this year, man. So, you got the summer, and when she go back to school in the fall, she be a senior, man. So it's getting there. It's getting there, bro. Man. I'm gonna take my time with it. I'm gonna appreciate it and enjoy it. But
I think it's gonna hit you a lot harder than it's gonna hit me because that's who you've been rocking with. So if she go to college, man, you might have to get you a dog or something, man.
I'm gonna be a mess over here. I already know. I already know it's gonna be bad on my end. I ain't even gonna lie to nobody. Like anybody that talk to me about, I say I'm gonna be in trouble. I tell them. I'm gonna say what's weird though, because I rarely eat now. And if it wasn't for her, hey, Daddy, what we gonna eat for dinner? I'd be like, dang, I ain't eat nothing all day. So,
yeah.
But from the old school, I can still eat hot dogs and pork and beans, bro.
I know that's right,
bro.
Hey, before we get into it, man, what is this dirty yakimine or yak thing that they talking about that's from Baltimore, bro?
Yakimi?
Yeah.
It's a Chinese dish, bro. I couldn't even tell you what it is. Everybody gonna clown me now. I want to say it's eggs.
Yeah, they put ketchup in it. Some people put ketchup in it.
Ugh. I mean, it looks nasty already. It looks nasty. I don't eat it. Like, it's a lot.
I ain't gonna lie to you. Next time I touch down, I'm gonna.
You gonna try that yak with me, bro?
Yeah, I'm gonna try that yak with me, whatever it's called. Yeah,
bro.
Is that only a Baltimore thing?
I don't know. Is it Chinese food thing? I don't know, bro.
Oh, because I only heard of. Only people I've ever seen talked about it was some people from Baltimore, and I seen it on TikTok. One of my homeboys is a big time chef. He's from Baltimore, so he has like almost 16,000 followers on TikTok. Right. So I seen it on Facebook first, and I seen it on TikTok. I'm like, yo, man, I'm gonna have to. I can make it, but I want to try it out. I'll try it from the carryout first.
There's a couple of people that that watch this and tell you about it. They'll laugh at me when they see it. Like, what do you mean you don't know what yakimi is? They're like,
yakimi.
I know what it is. I don't eat it. For the longest time, I was the smallest one in my family because I just refused to eat the stuff that they were eating, bro. Like that's what they do. I'm cool.
I ain't gonna lie, it do look like some worms in the damn box. Well, yeah, man. Hey, man. Welcome to Finding Orders podcast, man. If you're here, sit down, take a seat. We're definitely about to dive into it. We got a real good topic today. Really important topic. I think this is one of the most important topics that I think we've had on this podcast episodes that we've been doing. But I think this is really a good one because a lot of us, including myself, we find ourselves in this type of situations where we do have to get over certain things. And the question is, how do you get over certain things, especially when you've been traumatized by people that you do love and the people that you care about, or just total strangers, trusting people after you've been through a trauma. And it could be any kind of trauma, but like, what does the process look like? And, how do you even begin to, pick up the pieces from there? So if you're here, take a seat. If you come across this podcast, please share, hit the share button. It may not be for you, but it might be for somebody else that can gain something from this. And if it is for you, just take a seat. And, it is interactive. So if you have any questions, if you have any comments, you can put it in the chat section or the comment section, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube. We'll definitely read it and we'll respond to all your questions and your comments too as well.
Right. So, yeah. So this one I was dealing with personally, especially after my daughter's junior prom, right? And the reason why this was like something to me, because bro, I'm telling you, I was triggered the whole day. I was triggered literally the entire day from the time I woke up, the several phone calls I received, and different things that happened. It made me feel like, man, that's the reason why I don't ask anybody for nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I had to sit down and really go through my mind and really had to start thinking about certain things, I was like, well, where did that come from? You know, why do I feel this way? Why do I feel triggered like this? Why do I feel anxious? Why do I feel angry? Why do I feel all of these different emotions and different things like that? And it's because I witnessed certain things that happened in my life that was like, oh, this is the reason why I don't ask people for anything, right? So one of the things that I shared, that I'll share tonight, is there was a time in my life where I owed somebody that I love money. It was not no little small sum of money. I'm talking probably, was it maybe like 10,000? I don't know. It was a nice little lump sum of money.
How you pull that off? You must got some rich friends, man.
No, I'm thinking about this. I want to say maybe it was 5. Because what happened was, no, I'm saying, so this is what happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we was at Coppin. It was the first time I stopped going to Coppin. And then I went back to Coppin. So when I stopped going to Coppin, I was trying to get deferments and stuff like that, right? And that was the first time. And then they said, well, you need X amount of money to go back in the Coppin. So I asked, can somebody give me this money for that to go back to Coppin, right? And then the person was like, man, I want you to focus on school. I want you to don't worry about giving me my money back. This, that, and the other. I want you to just focus, get out of there. I said, all right, so what I'm going to do is when I get my refund check, I'll give you that money, right, for my refund check. But here I am. I'm 18, 19 years old, right? I don't know anything about business. I don't know anything about handling business. I don't know anything about like conducting business, you know? So I found myself really on first name basis with a lot of people inside of the financial aid office, because I would go over there almost every day. Hey man, did they process my financial aid? How are we gonna get this? How are we gonna get this? I mean, I'm literally there every single day asking them, did they process this financial aid so I can get this person this money back, right? It's not like they jumped in there with me. It's not like they helped me, you know what I'm saying, to get the money or any of these type of things. You know what I'm saying? It was like, hey, how this is going. You would think because this was an older person, they would like, hey, listen, because I didn't learn this really until I started working in the school system. Like, and this is for anybody else who like don't know how to handle business like I didn't do, right? You always supposed to take the name of people who you talk to, write their name down, right? You ask them for their phone number. You know what I'm saying? If you can, you try to ask them for like their supervisor name or anything like that. You write the time or date you talk to them, and then you write your question down and different things like that so that you can, you know, understand. Like if you need to follow up with somebody, you can say, hey, I talked to Missy Lane on this day, on this time, about these questions, and this is what she gave me back in return. So now you got things in black and white. And what I also learned about working in the school system, like if it was that serious, you send, if you can, send a follow-up email and say, hey, Missy Lane, I know we talked about X, Y, and Z. So now you have a paper trail. Now you have it in black and white. None of these things that I knew how to, you know, how to handle my business back when I was at Coppin. So I was going up there like, hey, man, like, did y'all process my financial aid? I need this money. I need this money, blah, 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 blah. So I never got a response. And then, like, you know what I'm saying, like that person, even in the middle of that semester, when I gave them that money, they was like, hey, dog, I need my money back. I don't know what you need to do, this and the other, but I was like, I was messed up. So I'm like, man, you just told me not to worry about it. You want me to focus on my grades instead of the other. Now, this seems like it's just coming way out of left field. Like, why, like why you throw me this curveball? It's funny because, like, the funny part about all that happened, that was like my first job at Coppin. I was ended up working out at Ashley Stewart's in Montgomery. That's how long this was, you know what I'm saying? But it wasn't like where Ashley Stewart's at now, you know what I'm saying? But I was working at Ashley Stewart's, bro. Little skinny twig looking dude, you know what I'm saying? Working in the plus size women's store and everything like that at Coppin, trying to pay this person this money back that I had got, right? And I think that was the beginning of me realizing, like, hey, man, I don't think I want to ask anybody for anything. And I'm also one of the type of people that, like, you know, we did the scripture on here a while ago. Like, if you're doing things that's charitable, well, what's the one scripture it was saying, basically saying like if you're doing something for people, right? You're not supposed to boast or brag about it, because if you're looking for this grandiose response, then really that's your reward. You know what I'm saying? I'm paraphrasing it, right? So that's just basically what it is. And it was kind of crazy because it's like you asking people for help, but I don't need you throwing it in my face. You know what I'm saying? Not only that, I don't need you to turn around and then like you telling this person, that person, you giving me money. You know what I'm saying? And if you telling me you gave somebody else money, I already know if you gave me money, you going around and tell everybody else you gave them money. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, well, why would I ask for anything? Why would I go back and do this if this is the pattern and the things that I've seen for years that happen? So I remember I was being at work, and the first time God started really dealing with me about this stuff, right? He really started dealing with me because the city had some paperwork that was messed up, right? And I didn't know it at the time, but they was like, they want to put a lien on my house. And because I had just bought the house around the time, I didn't know what a lien was. I didn't know what was going on, like what's happening. And I'm like, I'm scrambling to get this money because now this came out of nowhere, right? So I went to work one day, and there's always the sweet old ladies, right? The sweet old ladies that I work with. The lady turned around, she said, what's going on with you? I said, oh, I'm good. Nothing wrong with me. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, saying, no. What's going on with you? And I was sitting back saying, like, no, I'm okay. So the third time, it's like, okay, this is the third time you're asking me. So something must be off. So I don't know why you keep asking me. So let me tell you. And I told her my situation. This lady turned around, gave me her bank card, told me go to the bank, take the money out the bank, and then like bring her something back. I couldn't even remember what it was. And I looked her in her face and I was like, but why are you doing this? Like, why are you doing it for me? And in her face, she's like, boy, just do what I tell you to do, right? And came up with sweet old ladies. So I just went and did what she told me to do. And when I sat down in my car at the time, I heard God's voice say, did you really ask why would I bless you? And I just really sat in the car in silence, very quiet. My neighbor, I love her to death, Miss Norma, or to life, what people say now. She was the same way. When I moved in here, she'd been all sweet and nice and kind of stuff. And I'm looking at her like, it was crazy because I had to learn, like I was the type of kid, like I even had to learn how to accept compliments. You know what I'm saying? Like I had to learn how, like when people like say, hey, you look nice today, or you smell good today. I had to learn just to say thank you. You know what I'm saying? Because I wasn't used to this kind of help. I wasn't used to that kind of compliments and different things like that. So it was always been like that for me. And it was just like, wow, how did I get like that? Right. So all of these things started running through my mind on the weekend of my daughter's prom and stuff like that, because a lot of things started happening that made me started feeling this thing. I was like, well, how do you eventually get to the point where you really start trusting people or learning how to trust new people, like my coworker and like my neighbor and different people? Because what I'll tell you is a lot of times it was the people outside of my family that really was the biggest blessings to me. It's not to say that my family didn't help, but the biggest blessings that came to me in my life and the things that happened came to people that wasn't in my side of my family. And I had to learn how to trust people all over again, especially after my marriage failed.
So let me ask you this. So when you go through this process, right? Like, when you go through this process, especially when you have this type of trauma, when you go through this process, like, what are some of the, like, how did you begin to start to really, start trusting people, like, after that? Because you have to have some type of trust for people at some point. So, like, how did you find yourself out of that situation? Like,
well, first of all right. So I'm glad you asked, because this was one of the Bible scriptures, right? And I heard somebody preaching about it. Now, I'm not gonna lie, and I'm just gonna give everybody this disclaimer, right? When we had these conversations, sometimes I know we have like a scripture that goes with the topic that we're talking about, and I'm telling you, sometimes it really bothers me because I know I've like really grew up in like my ministerial brains or my exhortation brain, but we're not really giving the exhortation. We just having conversations, right? And I know like we're not in here, we trying to like really preach the word or anything. So this is the scripture. So I just want to put that out there and put out there because you're not really supposed to create a scripture or anything like that off of a whole, what you call it, like an idea, or off of one scripture. Supposed to be line upon line, precept upon precept. But for the sake of us having this conversation, like, we'll just put these these scriptures out here because it goes in line with what we're talking about, right? We're not really trying to sit here and preach to nobody. We're really just sharing our experiences, and this is how the word coincides with our experience, right? So Ezekiel 36:26 says, "I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you. I will take the heart of stone out of your flesh and give you I will take the heart of stone out of your flesh and give you a heart of flesh." I read that right? Okay, it just sounds weird in my mind for whatever reason.
Yeah, you read it right.
Right. So, but I would encourage anybody, if you go back and read this chapter, right? It's just, Ezekiel is one of those prophetic books. And at the time, the children of Israel was like, being disobedient in the earlier part of the chapter. Then, like, when you get down to this particular verse, it talks about the restoration of Israel, right? But oftentimes, like, you can use this as a foundation to say, hey, listen, God, you promising me, this is your word, and because you're no respected person, if you did it for them, you can do it for me. You don't see me no different from them, right? So when you experience traumas and you experience these hardships and you experience these trials and everything like that, it's not for us, like we said before, to sit back and say, oh, I'm just going through these things. Like, you're supposed to be changed. You're supposed to be different, right? And because God promised me that he's going to give me a heart of flesh, he's going to create in me a new heart. You know what I'm saying? I had to hold on to that. I had to hold on to the scripture. I had to keep reminding myself, you know what I'm saying? Like, he whom the Son sets free is free indeed. So my thing is, like, I'm free. There's little scriptures like this you got to understand, like, when you're hurt, so you don't get hurt. And that never really was me anyway. I never wanted to be one of those type of people that allowed situations and things like that harden me, right? I never wanted to be like, oh, I'm this, that, because we did this thing. We did one of the pods, like, not building yourself back up in pride. I've seen that happen before, right? I never wanted to build myself back up in pride, but I know I wanted to be healed properly. And so when I was just in those moments where I'm hurt and I'm experiencing these, I feel like betrayals and all of these different things that happened to me, it's kind of like, well, I have to believe that God is going to give me a new heart. Like, one of these days, none of this stuff is going to bother me. Now, I'm going to be healed. I'm going to be over this stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'll even give you another example of that, right? I don't know. And you can tell me if I said this already on a pod. I'm not really sure. But one of the things I had to learn how to do is be vulnerable, even from, like, my previous marriage, right? So one of the things, like, women that I was interested in and women that I wanted to talk to after my ex-wife, I would say, hey, I need you to get a relationship with God. I never told them why. It's kind of open-ended, very vague. You know what I'm saying? Like, just go get a relationship with God. But what I didn't tell them and what I didn't know how to articulate at the time is that, hey, my ex-wife gave her life over to Christ, right? My ex-wife have a very prophetic anointing and oil on her life. So she was very close with God. My ex-wife will have dreams, very accurate dreams, and can tell people exactly what's getting ready to happen. I'll never forget, one day she came to me. She said, I had this dream that it was a man dressed in all black was standing in the back door. And she said, it seemed like the closer I got to God, the closer he came to me. And I was scared. And so basically she ran. That's basically what she did. It's kind of funny because I want to ask her sometimes, like, do you ever remember this stuff? Like, do you remember telling me these things, right? You have a prophetic oil. All you did from that time on, from that time that you told me that, all you did was run from God, like, truth be told. And she's not the only one. I just know a lot of other people who ran for God and different things like that. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, I went through those situations saying that, hey, just get a relationship with God. Get a relationship with God. Because in my mind, it was like, well, two things that happen. If you get a relationship with God, you'll understand me better. You'll understand who's leading me. You'll understand where I'm trying to go, right? If you get a relationship with God, you'll understand your role better. and how you play a part in that whole situation, whereas though that we can get to where we need to get together in Christ. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't at the time knew how to articulate this to women that was interested in me. I didn't know how to convey this message and be vulnerable enough to open up and express this, right? And then it was like, I didn't want you to get to know God because I didn't want you doing it. I wanted you to get to know God, but I didn't want you doing it because of me. Don't get to know God because you like me or you're interested in me and you know that that's what I was about. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's no real substance there. Because anytime you get upset with me, anytime that you get angry or you feel some kind of way or whatever the case may be, you know, then you can just turn your back and walk away.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the things that I didn't want to experience. I didn't want to go through that heartbreak again. I didn't want to go through that heartache again, because it's like, well, what is anchoring you? What is keeping you close to me? That when I'm not having a good day, or if I have a bad day and all this stuff happen, you know what I'm saying, it just gives you a right to walk away. You know what I'm saying? Your commitment. They said the sanctified woman sanctifies the unsanctified man.
Mm-hmm.
So in them days when I'm feeling bad or I'm down and out, and I'm this and the other, I need somebody that's going to pray over me. I need somebody that's going to speak life into me. I need somebody that's going to pick me back up, you know what I'm saying, and encourage me to keep going when I'm having bad days. But if you're using me because I make you feel good and I can tell funny jokes and I can, you know, I'm doing all these different things for you, it's like, well, when do you have time to pour into me? When do you have time to give unto me? You know what I'm saying? It can't be just a one-sided transactional thing. So those are like my traumas that I experienced even from my previous relationship that I took to other relationships. And I started realizing, well, none of this stuff is going to get better until I actually learn to deal with it and face it and articulate it.
You know, I'm glad you said that, because if you're tuning in, you know, have a seat. You know, welcome to Founding Orders Podcast. We're talking about trusting after trauma. Mm-hmm. And you know, one of the things that I think, not just myself, but many people, a lot of people deal with, is the fact that when we do go through the trauma, we always say to ourselves, I can forgive you, but I can never forget. And then we go into another relationship, and because we couldn't forget from the first relationship or the previous relationship, we think because we forgave the person, we've let that type of trauma go. But then we find ourselves back in the same situation with another person, and we holding on to the thing from the past that's affecting our present, and it affects the relationship, whether it's friendship, boyfriend, girlfriend, marriage, whatever the relationship may be, whether it's even coworkers. Because a lot of us, we even get into it with our coworkers where, we stop trusting our coworkers, and we can have a new person come in, and because we have lack of trust, because we're going through some type of trauma with a coworker, either trying to sabotage you or stop you from getting that promotion, you kind of like take it out on everybody. Right. So a lot of us, we kind of like have that mentality where it says, I can forgive you, but I can't forget. Right. That's not healthy. I know people are very skeptical about saying, well, I don't want somebody to take advantage of me again.
That's Black culture.
And that's very Black culture. Right.
Unfortunately.
But the thing that I have come to experience is that once you allow God to fill that void, because when we talk about trusting, when you don't trust somebody, that's empty. There's a void right there. There's a space right there. There's a space where you don't want nobody to come in that particular space. So that space that is voided, because you guarding that space, it's empty, and because you guarding it, anything and anybody that comes around you want to attack, you want to defend, you're trying to protect that space. But one thing I learned was that as many times I've been hurt by people that I cared about, one thing I did was I started to fill that space with the Spirit of God. I started filling God with that space. I wanted God to fill that space, because the more God was filling those spaces up, the more that it was allowing me to be able to forgive people and forget the things that they've done. Not saying be naive, not saying being stupid, not saying being being ignorant to the fact that yes, it's a possibility that it can hurt me. It helped me to be a little bit more wiser. You know what I'm saying? Because I allow God to fill that void, right? That God gave me the spirit, that spirit that we were talking about in Ezekiel, right? Filling you up with a new spirit and a new heart. It gave me the opportunity to be able to, one, release myself from that bondage that I will allow people to hold me under, because I didn't forget the things that it did to me. right?
Exactly.
So that's how I was able to move on in my life. Because if we talk about holding on to things towards people, my dad be dead right now. My dad would be dead. And not because I would kill him, because when he called me in 2024, January, and said that he was ready to come back to the States, had I remember all the negative things, the abuse, physical abuse, the mental abuse, the emotional abuse that my dad put me and my siblings and my family through, I would have just said one thing: hey, will you find your way back up here? I could have just said that. But because I had went down there in 2022, and I knelt down in front of my dad crying, and I said, Dad, whatever I have done as a son to make you feel the way that you feel towards me and my siblings, please forgive me. I am sorry. Now, when I told this to one of my other friends, they said, well, why would you do that? It's his job to do that. I said, you don't understand. That man had a control over my life.
Mm-hmm.
That if I didn't release that, I wouldn't be the father that I am to my son today.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because I had to let that trauma go. I had to when we talking about letting things go, a lot of us, we say, oh, I forgive you, but I can't forget. If you can't forget it in the sense that you letting that go, and then you setting that boundary for that person to not cross that line, but you're just going to let them come right into that space and you still going to hold on to it, you back to square one. And all it takes is one little thing to trigger that, situation to come back up again.
And not only that, the problem with that, to me, is like the people make excuses like, well, we human. Right. No, you being human is just 1/3 of who you are, right? We made up a body, soul, and spirit, right? So that you saying you being human is the part of you that you just feed your flesh more. You're holding on to that, right? That's what you're saying. That's how you get to that, oh, it is what it is mentality that we were talking about. That's how you get to that, oh, we just human, or I'm made this way. Like, no, because you refuse to forget, right? Is the Bible says, if God cancels our sins as far as the east to the west, why are we holding on to it? You know what I'm saying? Like, what I realize about forgiveness is, like you said, you putting people in a box. But see, when you put people in a box like that, what I just recently learned in my prayers and stuff like that, is that's how people create a strong man, right? What I really noticed about people with trauma, like for me, for instance, I could have, and I did this for real. Like, I was like, yo, dog, she ain't want me. I'm going out there and I'm just be the biggest player that's going to live there. I'm going to go out here and just get whatever I can get. The first time I went out there and did that, I put my face in the pillow and started crying, bro, because I ain't even want to be there. So I knew that wasn't going to work out after the first time trying. But the crazy part about it is I could have created that barrier around my heart, right? And that's what I realized, like, most people do. Most people, I call it like building a monument around a trauma, right? Like, so that little small, hidden, hurt, innocent part of who we are in our heart, what we do is we start building fences around it. And then I was like, well, I'm never going to do that again, which is probably like the craziest, most dumbest thing that I feel like anybody could ever say. Like, how can you promise yourself that you will never love again? How can you promise yourself you'll never operate in your gifts again? You promising yourself you'll never do those things. Why? Because somebody didn't know how to appreciate you? Because you didn't have enough wisdom to guard and protect yourself? Why would you promise yourself something based off of a bad experience or a traumatic experience that you had to now imprison yourself, so that anytime somebody try to talk to you, anybody that gets close to that trauma, what happens is you create this offense. Like, you're offended now. You're easily offended. Like you said, you're building a strong man. That's why Erykah Badu said, bag lady, let it go, let it go, let it go. You got to let stuff go. We got to learn how to let these things go and not just let them go. You got to forget about it. Realistically, you know what it's like? It's like putting a Band-Aid over a knife wound. Somebody stab you with a knife, you can't use a Band-Aid for that. You're going to have to go get stitched up. You're going to have to go get some gauze. You're going to have to get something, because you're still going to be bleeding out. That is probably the worst thing somebody could ever say is, I forgive you, but I don't forget. But as soon as, and that's what I'm saying, like with me that weekend, as soon as things started popping up, because that whole weekend taught me I had to learn how to start identifying my traumas. I got to start learning how to call it out when I see it. I got to say, oh man, this is happening, but it's not quite. It might look like it, but it's not the same thing. Because what I'll easily do is I'll start running and try to take things on in my own hands and try to do things on myself and then make a bad situation worse.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's a lot, man. It's a lot, and I think a lot of us, we find ourselves in this situation where, that trauma that we go through, we allow it to control our present, and I think, that's kind of like one of the things that is really hurting a lot of us. Especially when we talk about being believers. That's kind of like the thing that get me was, us church folks, us holy people. The ones we talk about God this and God that, and we doing the praise dance on Sundays and stomping our feet and running back and forth, and then we get out of church and we not even in relationships with our own siblings, because our siblings did something that we can't even let go. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we find ourselves in these situations, and I'm like, how do you even think your prayers are even being answered by God? God is not answering your prayers when you got a heart full of hate and anger and bitterness towards your sibling, your mom and your dad or your cousins. It don't work like that. God, there's no space for God. When you hold all that stuff in and you taking all this thing, God don't have no space to even bless you. Man, let me tell you something, bro. Yeah. When I left my last job, right? And I'm going through the process of looking for another job, and I'm like, dang, man, these people really got to me this time, man. And I'm like, man, why is it like this? Why is it like this? As soon as I start asking that question, I found myself saying, you know what? Why am I even asking questions? Maybe God needs the space. He needed to remove me from this situation to be able to give me a different situation. But maybe the situation that I'm looking for, the space that I need to be in that situation, God has to remove me from this place right here, because I was so miserable. And I didn't like where I was at. I said, God, I'm not happy right here. Right. But in order for him to remove me from that place, he had to clear this place out. He had to clear it out. So in order for you to say, God, I want you to bless me. I want you to take me to the next level. I want you to elevate me. I want you to be able to make me become a helper to people that I come in contact with. But yeah, you had a heart full of hate towards your own sibling, your own bloodline, your own blood, right? God can't bless you unless you remove that stuff from your body, from your spirit, from your mind. You have to be able to let go. And I'm not saying be naive. You do have to set boundaries for your trauma.
That's right. That's right.
There's nothing wrong with you setting boundaries for your trauma. Everybody have to have some type of boundary for people where people cannot cross, especially if they've hurt you one time or if they hurt you before. Hey, look, I forgive you. Matter of fact, I let it go. But I just can't let you cross this line, because me and you both know where this space, you crossing this line will put me in this type of situation. Let's respect this line. There's nothing wrong with that. But saying that I forgive you, I'll never forget, that is a problem for me. I can't sit around and have you have control of me. It's like it's like you're my slave master. Because now when you come around, I'm gonna be upset. Oh, I can't believe he coming around doing this. You say something crazy, I'm like, oh, you remember the last time you said? It's like I'm never gonna be at peace of myself.
Yeah,
that's me allowing you to have that control over my life, because I have not forgotten and truly forgiven you for what you've done for me. Because if I truly forgive you, I will forget it. I won't even hold it against you. But a lot of us, we don't, we say we forgive you, but truly we hold on to it and we can never forget it because we still hold on to that trauma.
So a couple of things, right? So number one, that is the number one way Satan traps us, right? Because of that trauma and those things like that, like you said, we won't even be able to operate freely in our gifts. Now, think about what you just went through and all the stuff you did and the testimony you said, even about that woman, right? You know you are for the people. Could you imagine if Satan got a hold of you and you started letting him beat you up and beat you down like that, that you would have missed that blessing and that gift that you had, because now your gift is contaminated? Well, you know you like giving to people. You know that's in your heart. That is a gift that God gave you. But the moment you keep your eyes on your circumstances and not on God, that's how you become bound up. And now you can't even operate freely in the gifts that God has you for. So that's number one, right? Number two, I want to sit back sometimes and I really want to ask, like I told you, it was a woman I wanted to marry after after my ex-wife. It was,
Mhm.
it was a lot of dumb stuff that happened. I talked about some of it, but I wonder if it was trauma in her past that made her have the type of insecurities that she had. See, me being the man that I am, and me learning how to do the things that I learned how to do. See, me, I've learned that in reconciliation, the Bible says, confess your faults one to another so that they can be healing, right? And
Mhm.
for a long time, I accept the responsibilities for the things that I did. And that's one thing I will always try to do is accept the responsibilities in the parts that I played for. And I rarely bring up other people's mess, right? I
Mhm.
rarely try to bring up other people's stuff and then point at them, because I realize there's a difference between somebody that loves you and a critic, right? Somebody that loves you is going to get in it with you. I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to help you. I'm going to help build with you. I'm going to try to help see if we can find a medium and a middle ground so that we can build something and grow, right? As
Mhm.
opposed to me sitting around criticizing you and like, dang, shorty, you so bitter. Dang, shorty, you so broken up. Like, you got dad problems. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
because some of the questions that I asked her, I really wonder if it was like some things that happened in your past that made you question or doubt who you supposed to have been and what you supposed to be doing, because now that I'm just asking simple questions is triggering that trauma. Now it's causing both of us to miss out on something that we could have really had, right?
Mhm.
So no, well, that's another thing. But this is how I know for a fact, and I'll admit this, I don't really say this to too many people, but that's the reason why I say my son is my son, right?
Mhm.
That was my wife. I married her. I accept those vows for better or worse, for rich or poor. That woman got pregnant, I want to say a month after we separated. We wasn't even like divorced. She got pregnant a month after we separated, which means more than likely she was already out there doing what she was doing anyway. So
Mhm.
I can't prove it. It is what it is. It's certain little evidence that make you point to that. But it's just like you said, it took me 3 years to get over her because I still wanted her back. Even after I found out she was pregnant. My thing was, like you said, the reason why I brought this up is because of what you were saying about setting boundaries, right?
Mhm.
I wanted to show her that I can love him even after what happened. I love you enough to love him and take him in as my own. And to this day, I still uphold that vow. But my thing is, it's hard for people sometimes to identify somebody loving them when
Mhm.
they don't even know what love is and they haven't experienced love like that.
Mhm.
So you can take your time and pour out things into people and try to be a certain way when the whole time they'll never be able to identify it. And I wouldn't be able to do that if God didn't show me his love. See, God showed me his love that allowed me to be able to do that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, well, you my wife. I took this vow. I never not wanted to not be in um my daughter's life. I never not wanted my wife to not be in my, and like my ex-wife be in my daughter's life. I never not want to be in my daughter's life. So I was willing to take on this to try to mend something and make it whole and even love on her. And a lot of
Mhm.
people don't really know that. Like I'm not ashamed to say it. Like I was still in love with that woman after she was pregnant. But my thing was, my boundary was, I wasn't asking her to come back. I wanted to show her that you can come back and ask me back. You know what I'm saying? Because if
Mhm.
you had enough gall to just turn around and leave and do the things that you did, I'm not going to beg you to come back to do it again.
Mhm.
But what I was going to do is make it comfortable enough and try to make it comfortable enough for you to see that you are welcomed back in. But the thing about it is, after a while, you realize like she just never wanted to come back. So that was cool. I had to learn how to let that go. But one thing I didn't let it go is that if I say I love this little boy, I'm gonna love this little boy. And I think like she don't understand it. I think a lot of people don't understand it, but at the same time, I realize a lot of people don't even understand how God loves us. A lot of people, like, unfortunately, we take God's granted for love. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Because we don't really understand the full scope of it. But that's how I know that I'm able to now move on and love, because I forgive. Even the things that happen, I still forgive. You know what I'm saying? I understand circumstances, I understand situations. So that's why I was like, well, now that I understand and matured in all these different aspects, I had to learn how to be articulate. I had to learn how to vocalize things. I had to learn to accept rejection all over again. I had
Mhm.
to learn how to, okay, like I had this one girl tell me, she's like, oh, you too good for me. I'm like, what the heck does that mean? Because if I ever met a woman that I felt like was too good for me, I'm just do whatever I need to do to step my game up and be enough for her.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And that's just me, my 2 cents on how I look at it. I would never feel like somebody is like just that much better than me, because what I might not have financially, what I might not have, physically, I make up for in other areas. Mm-hmm. Might not be the tallest dude, might not have the longest hair, might not have the deepest pockets, might not have the flashiest of cars. But one thing I do have, and this is what I was telling my mom when she's here, like, you know what I have? I got peace. Mm. My house is filled with peace. After the trauma and after everything that I've been through, like, I love my family. I will always continue to love my family. I still try to honor them in ways, because I don't get on this platform and try to add people out and say certain things. I will address some things that happened to me that I've experienced in my life, but I'm never going to I'm going to try to honor those people still, because I don't try to put you on blast, and I don't try to put you out there like that. And there's a lot of things that you've done to me and people have done to me I don't even bring up. Like, I think a lot of times people just think, okay, things is all good, everything is all sweet and all this other stuff, because the way that I move. I still love people, and I will never let somebody take that or take my heart away from me, because that is the greatest gift that I know that I have, is my heart. And I will never let somebody take that away from me.
I mean, to be honest with you, man, you got to have a special heart for people to be able to even forgive people, man. It's not as easy. It's not as easy, like, we say, I hope nobody's making it seem like we're just saying it and, making it seem like it's always super easy. It's not. Once you go through a trauma, it is a process. It is some years of healing that you got to go through. It doesn't just happen overnight. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But you have to have a special heart for people to be able to forgive people. You know what I'm saying? And one of the things that I think I'm going to see if I can put this out there. So when I got jammed up at Coppin, we all know where the situation started from. We all know who told and who said what. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even going to put their names out there. So crazy thing is, the person that he told on me, I moved to Bladensburg, and I'm walking up the street, moving my stuff in, and I hear my name being called, and I remember hearing that voice, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Of all the daggone people in this world, it gotta be him. I turned around, and he just came and gave me a hug. When he gave me a hug, he said, man, I didn't tell on you. That was the first thing that came out of his mouth. He said,
so he put on the cell, he feel guilty.
He said, I didn't snitch on you, man. I didn't rat you out, man. And I said, yo, man, this happened in 2006? Why we still worrying about that? Well, I done moved on in my life, man. I said, man, what's up? Are you visiting somebody around here? He said, nah, I live right here. I live right over here, man. You come over here with it. I said, damn. He lived right there. But I was like, man, all right. I'm talking about the other side of the parking lot. Bro, I'm talking about the other side of the parking lot.
Up in there.
And but the crazy thing is, I used to always ask myself, what would I do if I did see him? You know what I'm saying? But when I did get the opportunity to meet him right after that situation, I was like, you know what? What's the purpose of me holding on to it? You know what I'm saying? And my homeboy, he real street. He was like, man, what's up? You want us to pull out? Like, nah. He said, man, you want? I said, yeah. He said, man, you stupid.
You about to watch him, shorty? Oh, man,
I said, bro, I'm good. I'm not tripping over him. Like, I'm not. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? He said, man, that's your problem, man. You care for people too much. That's your weakness on these streets, man. I said, yo, I get it, but bro, I'm always the one. I always look at things from like my perspective or a different perspective. Like, had I not put myself in that situation, he wouldn't get the opportunity to snitch on me.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So then, people start talking about that. Then, of course, I get locked up. I get locked up with a co-defendant. You know what I'm saying? So now I go to court. My co-defendant, he snitched on me too.
Yeah, gotta do your dirt by your lonely, shorty.
Yeah, he snitched on me too. So, but then, through my wife, her friend, and her husband, you know what I'm saying? That's his man. So it's like, I'm cool with you, not because me and you hung together, because our wives are cool. So it forces me to be like cool with you, because it's like, how can I come around and then they have doing things? You know what I'm saying? So I try to build a relationship Not because of me, because of my wife, not because I wanted to build a relationship. You know what I'm saying? So I try to build a relationship, but then this is your man. Your man is my co-defendant who snitched on me in court. So now conversation come up like, yo, you know what I'm saying? You know, that's my man. I think it's because daughter's godfather or something stupid like that. Which I ain't give a crap about because it is what it is. That's your man. That's your
basically, he snitched on both his mans then.
You get what I'm saying? So I'm like, no, not him. This all that Glenn is different. Jamal is different.
Okay, I thought Glenn and Jamal was cool.
No, Glenn, Jamal, and Theo. That's his man.
Okay, Theo. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, so that's his man. So it's like, and his wife and Dana, like super. Well, at least I don't. They're friends. That's their, you know, they got their relationship. So of course, because of that relationship, it's like I'm almost kind of like not forced, but I'm forced. You know what I'm saying? Because it ain't like nobody put a gun in my hand and say, you got. But I try to build a relationship. But to me, I'm the type of person, if me and you was never cool like that, I'm not about to be fake and try to be cool with you like that now. But because out of respect for my wife, I'll be phony for you. That's just how I am. I'd rather see a smile on my wife's face than to see a frown. So I'm gonna try to build. I'm gonna really genuinely try to build a relationship, even though that goes against what I personally believe in.
Right.
But along with that coming, I got to deal with a trauma that you are friends with. You know what I'm saying? And I always used to tell myself, like, yo, on site, if I ever got the opportunity on site, it was gonna be like that. But here comes the conversation, like, yo, you know, that's my kids, you know, my daughter's godfather, and you know, that's my man, and phone call was being made, and you know, apparently he wanted to apologize too. Not that again, but the time that conversation came to me, I'm so far different, like I'm so far removed from streets. I'm not active, so I'm not going by the street code. I'm a family man, so I'm not even going by the street code. So I'm like, not even thinking like that. But now I still got to go back and face it. So we sit down and we had a conversation. And it was like, you know, just want to apologize. And I'm like, yo, you was a youngin'. You know what I'm saying? You was a youngin'. Put you on with me. You was a youngin'. But at the end of the day, bro, you're still a man at the end of the day. So, you know, if you feel like that's how you had to go out and you want to apologize, hey, cool. It took you, 10 years to do that? All right, you know, cool. It took 10 years, whatever, let it go. You know what I'm saying? Now I can come around you, no problem. But that boundary is there. Not that I even got to worry about that boundary because I don't even live like that. But there's a boundary where you would never be able to come around me and think it's going to be like that same love I have for you from the beginning, because now I have to respect that boundary myself and not even allow you to cross that boundary with me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like people forget you could be hurt, not just from the street, not just from the church, not just from your family members. You can be hurt and still let it go. When I say let it go, means that's the only way God is going to elevate you. You can't say, oh, I forgive somebody and I let it go and think God's going to bless you. It doesn't work like that. God is not a God where you can bargain with. You can't bargain with God. It's either you're doing it or you're not. It's either you're going to let it go so I can bless you, or you can hold on to it until you get tired and then let me know and I'll come in and do what I got to do. You know what I'm saying? And with me, and I know with some people, it is hard. It's a hard process. But once we are able to do that and get it over and get it out get that out of our life and get it out of our system, our life becomes more hated.
Right.
Because they see the wrong that they did, but they see the elevation of how God is blessing us.
Right.
And sometimes they don't even like that. It actually makes them not even want to be around you no more. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, you have to learn to say, you know what? All right, I forgive you and I forget. We ain't even got to worry about it no more. But I just can't let you come across me like this. But you know, one person I made the exception for, I made that exception for Glenn.
Yeah.
Glenn is the only person from DC, Maryland, Virginia, that DMV, whether you want to include Baltimore. I know Baltimore, y'all don't like to come to DMV. But he is the only person that has ever been in my house outside of my brothers and my mother. So when somebody
I'm gonna come down there and make it.
Oh yeah, you gotta pull up. When somebody saw the picture that he posted on Facebook, like, yo, How you gonna let him come to your house? He ratted you out. I said, nah, sometimes you gotta invite them in. Let them see what they did, and you gotta allow them to see what God is doing. You have to allow them to see what God is doing, because that is maybe the way that they might change their life. You know what I'm saying? But if I don't let that trauma go, and if I didn't let that trauma go, and if I didn't let that bitterness and anger go, you know, what would I be? So, you know, it is a process that you have to go through, but it is a beautiful process. Is it an easy process? No. But with God, all things are made easy and made possible. So you gotta, you gotta stop leaving that space void and let God fills it, so that when He fills His spirit with it, He can bring that new heart to you, that new mindset, the transformation of the mindset, the attitude. Man, listen, one thing I have always promised to myself is I will never let anybody allow me to feel uncomfortable in the same room as them.
Yeah.
If anything, I will make you feel uncomfortable before I will make myself feel uncomfortable. And what I mean by that is very simple. You can never control my emotion in the same room that I'm in. And if you have wronged me, I'm gonna be smiling so much, you're gonna be uncomfortable. You're gonna have to leave that party, man. I'm not going nowhere.
Yeah, you know, my high school teacher told me, shout out to Mr. Corey Jones, if you ever seen this. He said, if you allow somebody to control how you feel, they might as well own you.
Boy.
I said, man, that's some deep, heavy stuff. Like, you really think about it, I'm nobody's puppet. You ain't gonna control me and put me on a string, you know? So that's how I feel like, you know, I'm not going to sit there and allow somebody else's trauma. And that's what I started realizing. When you start doing that, it's easy to identify when you're around other people. And when they start trying to get their trauma and their things and start dictating to you how you should move and what you should do. Like, nah, I'm never going to I've been through that. I lived through that. I'm going to say from 2004 to 2009. I'm never going to allow somebody. I was telling somebody the other day, I said, you know, I was in a situation, Shorty was like, man, you sing too much. And I stopped singing. Like, dang, I'm thinking I'm doing everything that I was taught how to do to make people happy. And then, like, when it was all over, I felt dirty and ashamed, because it's like, bro, I sacrificed me. I sacrificed a gift that I have. I sacrificed one of my passions that I like doing to please somebody else. And when I went to go sing it, man, I sound like Kermit the Frog out there. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't get none of them vocal cords to get tuned up right, man. And it was sad, bro. I was sad. But I was always kept saying, like, if I ever get back there, I'm never going to allow somebody to dictate it. It's like you said, I'm a allow you to be in your feelings when I come around more than I'm going to be
man.
Come around.
Bro,
because
I'm trying to tell you.
I'm winning. I got peace in my life.
I don't know if you remember this girl that went to Cottonwood. Her name is Netta.
Sound familiar?
She was light skinned. She stayed in like Daily Hall.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I don't know. This one we was beefing with I don't really beefing with. I just ain't like them Bammers. But we had issues with megastars in them. You know what I'm saying? And I remember when
say that, man.
Yeah, you know, this one I had a situation with James up there in the 7th floor.
I remember.
You know I'm saying I got busy with his little clown self, right? And I remember coming downstairs, right? Oh, no, I got busy with him. I got kicked out of semester for that Bama. And I remember coming downstairs, and I remember I was just hot. I was like, I'm talking about black dude, but you can see me turning red. You know what I'm saying?
I remember that.
And then it was like, yo, man. I'm like, what?
You got kicked out, but you were still up there, though.
I was still up there.
Yeah.
She was like, why are you letting people control your emotions like that? You shouldn't let nobody steal your joy, man. I love seeing you walking up and down up and down the cafeteria with your girlfriend, because I was talking to whatchamacallit at that time, and I'm like, I thought about it and I was like, damn, I was having a good time. I just go up there just to get some food.
Yeah.
Because I seen that guy, things just escalated for no reason, and I got kicked out of school for a semester. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's just me holding on to something that happened to my homeboy, and really, my homeboy should never been out there doing that dumb stuff anyway by himself. Yeah. He was literally by himself, and it was like 20 of them. And I told this man, call me when you get downstairs. never made the phone call. So it's like, damn, bro, you just like you could have called us. We was right up the stairs. You could have called us, or you could have called the other building. Somebody was coming downstairs, but it was just like I was holding on to something that transpired the semester before. It led up to the current semester, got me put out for a semester. And that right there, to be honest with you, was the spiral of me getting kicked out of school. Trying to tell you, bro. So when we talk about forgiving and not forgetting, you can't have one without the other, man. It's like yin and yang. They go together. And if you're not gonna forget it, you might as well not forgive them. Don't forgive them. Don't forgive.
I'm telling people all the time, like I literally had to sit down and think about the bad things that happened in my marriage for me to remember. And it was a lot of bad things. You know what I'm saying? I said, but I don't harp on none of that. I choose freedom. I like my freedom. And that's what I tell people. I have peace in this freedom. I can move forward and I can articulate things and I can open up and be vulnerable because I have this level of freedom. And the more like you say, you don't forgive, you're creating those traumas. You're holding on to it. My thing is the people. This is the one of the biggest things that scared me. I looked at my daughter one day and I said, "Yo, it's broken families and broken homes throughout my entire family tree, bro." And I looked at my daughter one day and said, "It's gonna stop with you." You know, I'm sure my sisters and my brother said the same thing about their kids, but I don't know what they doing or how they doing. But one thing is, I always try to be vulnerable. I always try to be open. I try to be transparent. I try to be honest as possible with my daughter without like corrupting her or giving her too much beyond her understanding and comprehension. And I've been telling her since she was younger, baby, I want you to do better than me. You know, and it's not to say like it's things. I don't know these super macho people. Yeah, we failed in life at some things. It's okay to say that. Even though it didn't destroy us, it didn't overcome us. We are more than conquerors. We have not been conquered, but I failed in some things. And marriages is one of them. You know what I'm saying? But did I learn something from it? Yes. I'm not going to let those generational curses continue to pass through my lineage, like that comes out of me. And it starts with identifying it. You got to identify. You got to be able to address, and you got to be able to be strong enough to look in the mirror and seek help. Because I tell people all the time, the hardest thing about my healing was me looking in the mirror at myself and seeing all the times God was talking to me and telling me, "Hey, you got to fix this, you got to do that." But at the time, I just didn't know it was Him, and so I had a whole bunch of regrets. I had a whole bunch of shoulda, coulda, wouldas. But then it got to a point where God was like, "Bro, you got to stop looking back. And you gotta thinking about what could have been. You're looking back, thinking about the things you lost, but you're not giving me glory and you're not giving me honor for what I'm capable of doing in the future." And I said, "Yeah, you're right." And that came out of Philippians 4:7-8. I was like, "Now I gotta press forward. I gotta keep going because what you have for me is better than anything that I lost. Because now I'm walking in you. Now I'm doing." Through you, I'm doing it in you. I'm for you. So I was doing it on my own back then. I was doing it under my own cognizance, you know what I'm saying, and doing it under my own strength.
Yeah, I definitely, man, I definitely appreciate the fact that we brought this topic up because I feel like it's something that a lot of us we struggle with. You know, especially when we go through this. You know, everybody's been hurt at some point, man. Everybody's been hurt by somebody or someone. Whether it's close, whether it's a stranger, we all been hurt, and we just, you know, we all have to learn how to truly forgive people and move on, and start trusting in the process of God being able to heal us, and not us taking out on that responsibility. Because a lot of us, when we take on that responsibility, we fail miserably, and we miss a lot of blessings because we're scared to let people come back around, or even people come around in our lives that God has put in our lives. They say, "Hey, look, I'm gonna send this person to you." But because of that past trauma, you don't trust that this is the person that's going to help you get to that place where you need to be. So, it's something that we all gotta grow from and learn from. And, that's why we have these conversations to share these experiences that, we've all gone through it. I'm pretty sure if we've opened up to people to share their past traumas, we probably won't be able to finish the episode tonight, man. So, definitely thank you so much for bringing this one up. What's your final notice for this week?
My final notice is for people to, it's okay. Identify the trauma. Look at it in the mirror. Because what you don't realize is that you just created a strong man. Get rid of the strong man. That strong man, if you ever find yourself in a situation that seems like you're repeating it over and over and over, how, some people be like, all men are the same, this, that, and the other, no, it's probably your strong man. It's probably the things that you're going through and the things that you're dealing with that's allowing you to feel like you're repeating this cycle and going through this season. And what happens is you hold on to that trauma and you hold on to the bad things and you focus more on the things that happen negatively than being able to look at it like you're growing and take good things from it. You're going to create a strong man, and that's going to be way hard to get rid of. So that'd be my final notice.
Awesome, man. My final notice for today and for this week is, just keep trusting the process, man. Just keep trusting the process. Just keep pressing forward. Things gonna happen, but we still got to continue to trust God and, allow God to take control over it. Amen. Hey, like I said, man, everything that I talked about today, the wonderful thing about it all is I forgive people that I know that I did wrong to. And they, I forgive people that wronged me. I forgive them quicker than they can say that they sorry. So, I don't hold on nothing to nobody. You call me and you need help. Yeah, if I can make it, I'll help you. Because that's the way that I take my power back. That's the way I take my freedom back.
That's right.
And press forward so that way you don't give your freedom to somebody to dictate how you feel, and they come around you huffing and puffing, and you about to leave because they just came over. He didn't came in with his new girlfriend. He didn't came in with man. What? You gonna leave? Okay, that's more food for me because I ain't going nowhere. I'm chill. Matter of fact, I might dance and hop and skip just to let you know how happy I am. You know what I'm saying? So just keep pressing forward and just trusting the process and, let God lead you, because the things that he's going to do for you, man, you can, if you allow him to, he would definitely will do it, man. So that'd be my final notice for this week, man.
That's like my coworkers this morning. Like, I can't believe she talked to me this way. This, I mean, it's first, you just came in the building and signed the book. And I was sitting back thinking like, yo, why in the world? Like this, I'm serious. If my daughter can do something before she go to bed, and I'll be angry, like upset, really upset. And I'll wake up in the morning and it'll be something that I'd be wanting to address. But I say, I'm not going to say nothing to her because I'm going to mess her day up. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's small things that are messing her day up. I always she should get home. It's not that impressive. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's something important, yeah, I'll say something. But for the most part, go have your good day. I'm not going to use this to mess your day up. We'll just sit down and talk about it when I get home. You know what I'm saying? But that also comes from wisdom and patience and not being traumatized. You know what I'm saying? Like, how you gonna let somebody else ruin your morning? Now you around here fussing and this, that, and the other early in the morning. I was like, this is the same way you did. Guess what? I don't want to hear you fussing either. I don't want to hear you fussing in the morning. You try to mess up my mood. I ain't paying you no mind. Hey, look, leave me alone. It ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm not gonna let somebody else ruin my morning. That's crazy.
Yeah, man. Well, yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in, man. Catch us next week for another episode, man. Man, listen, man. God is working. Amen. God is working. God is definitely working, man. And we just continue to trust the process, man. But God is definitely doing some things that I ain't gonna lie, man. I told you the other day, I need to hit the lottery. I need to hit the lottery, man.
I told somebody that too. I text her saying, I'm gonna start fasting for the lottery numbers.
Yeah, I need to hit the lottery or something. Cause shoot, I've been wanting some nice things in life too,
good, man. I just try to see it. Matter of fact, as I said, I think that's the reason why I don't mind watching people be happy, and I enjoy it because one, I know there's no schisms in the body of Christ, and there's no respect of person. So I'm like, wow, God did that for you. Because that's how I look at it. Anything. God did that for you. Wow, I know he can do it for me.
I know he can do it for me. That's remember I was telling you when all the people around me was buying their houses, and I'm not talking about people was just buying houses. I'm talking about they had new constructions. And then, at first, I thought maybe because all these people that was buying houses had been in my house before. Right. And at that time, I was living in Severn. I was living in a small little townhouse. It was about maybe 900 square foot, right? Maybe like 950 square foot. It was so bad. I was just talking about my daughter about this the other day. I said, damn, Dad, remember how we was living in that apartment, a townhome, and you used to open the refrigerator and they held the laundry machine because it won't open all the way because they said, yeah. She said, how did we ever make it out of the house? I said, because y'all was small. Y'all won't be able to make it out the house now at your age.
Yeah.
But when I used to get invitation to these people's houses, right? At first, I was like, man, maybe they're trying to rub it in my face. But then I started thinking about it. I said, no, maybe this is a way where God is showing me if he's done it for them, he will do it for me. But this is my opportunity to go see exactly what they have so I know exactly what I want in my house.
Yep, and then plant the seed inside you.
Man,
yes,
when I used to go to these people's houses, I'm like, man, this is a beautiful house. You know what? If I got my house, I think I would want this type of island. I would want this type of cabinet. Oh yeah, I love the floor. Oh, I would get a lighted wood floor. I started building my house before I knew I had the opportunity to build a house, man.
Amen.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like you speak into existence, but you go at it with a clear heart and a clear conscience, and you just trust God to take you through that process and say, you know what, God, if you didn't did it for him, I know you would do it for me. Matter of fact, bless them so that way I can see exactly what I want.
That's right. That's right.
Because that's what I be doing. Like, yo, you get it first. God, let them get it first. So that way I can see exactly if I want the same color or not.
Ain't nothing wrong with it,
man.
Nothing wrong with it.
All right, y'all. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please follow us on if you want to reach out to us on finalnoticepodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. If you haven't followed us or subscribed to any of our pages or channels, go ahead and subscribe to the channel on YouTube. And if you have any question, if you even want to be a guest, and if you have something that you feel like it could be a blessing to other people, inbox us or message us so that way we can get you on the platform so that way we can share these ideas and see how we can be a blessing not to ourselves but also to other people around us.
Yeah, still waiting on you, Steve. Hit us up, bro.
Man, Steve ain't coming on this show, man. Steve he's too Hollywood for us, man.
Man. Also, I want to say shout out Latoya too, because she realized that we were spelling TikTok wrong at the bottom, so I fixed it earlier.
Oh, for real? Hey, but
I probably messed it up for real. But
hey, we 40 and up, man.
Huh?
I said we 40 and up, man. Don't expect us to get this right. Y'all shit. I'm still asking Siri. Hey, man, how do you spell this, Siri?
Oh yeah, always. That's cheat code.
Yeah, man. All right, y'all. Well, thank y'all so much for tuning in, man. Tuning in next week. We'll have a flyer out for our next conversation, man. You guys have a safe and a wonderful weekend, and we keep everybody encouraged in prayer. If you have something going on, man, just stay strong. Keep praying, man. Keep pressing, man. God is gonna work that miracle for you, man.
Amen.